just told me before we started recording about a tweet that you had seen.
Well, and I retweeted it, and I encourage everybody, if they see it, to do the same thing. And I will read it to you. It's from Chris Nowinski. And a lot of people may remember Chris was on Tough Enough, and he spent some time training in Ohio Valley Wrestling. And he went to Harvard. He's a very educated, well, I wouldn't say kid, because 20 years ago when I was dealing with him, he was a kid, but young man, middle-aged man now practically. Anyway, Chris Nowinski, after wrestling because of the concussions that he suffered, he's a PhD. He's done incredible studies on the CTE and concussion syndrome and blah, blah, blah. And he's had talks with numbers of the promotions, on how to improve things for wrestling and et cetera, but sports wide, not just wrestling. And he's at Chris Nowinski 1, if you want to check some of this stuff out. But he tweeted a 30-second, this is not a trailer, it's just footage from one of Dana White's, old Slappy White's new program, Power Slap League, or whatever the fuck it is. A Power Slap, only on TBS, soon hopefully to only be in our distant memory. Because I can't believe they put the thing on the air to begin with after what happened, and they only delayed the debut a week. But Chris tweeted 30 seconds this shit, and his tweet is, "This is so sad. Note the fencing posture with the first brain injury." And you have to see this to really understand it, but it's people being knocked out willingly, letting people do it. So Chris continues, "He may never be the same. At Dana White and at TBS Network should be ashamed. Pure exploitation. What's next? Who can survive a stabbing?" And the more you look at this, I retweeted something. It was from some other organization. Apparently, there's more people doing this around the world. Where this fucking guy, apparently these two guys had been slapping each other for a while. Because you get one turn and then the other person gets a turn and back and forth until somebody apparently either goes down and can't get back up within 30 seconds. It's a real-life Texas death match with open hands.
That was from Chris Nowinski, too, that other tweet.
Okay, well, I saw it from like 85 different people. I think I retweeted. No, as a matter of fact, I retweeted that because, yes, the other one was from Chris also, because I said Chris has too nice an opinion of this. I think these people deserve what they get. And I still think these stupid, dumb fucks deserve what they get, but I'll finish the thought here is that this is the stupidest thing that I have ever seen in my life. And it's not sport, nor should it be entertainment. I can't believe that people have put money and television time behind this just on Dana White. Apparently, we always thought did a great job with the UFC. Apparently is a complete fucking nitwit. That he would enjoy this or that he's just doing it for money. But in this clip, which is 41 seconds long, I'll tell you, the first thing that happens is this guy just stands there. That's what they do. They stand at a podium and they have their hands behind their back, and he lets the other guy slap him, and he knocks him out, and he goes into the posture that Chris was talking about, where he's kind of stiff, but he's cold at the same time. And yes, that's a brain injury. That's a concussion. You got knocked out, you dumb shit. But it's not in the context of MMA or fighting of any kind, because they're standing. It's like the goddamn stupid ass chop fest from the strong style Japanese bullshit, where they're just standing there phonily. Is that a word? Phonily? In a phony manner, letting each other take turns hitting each other, which looks stupid, like this. Then the next clip is of his fucking, and I think they're giving him CPR. Yeah, they're giving the other guy CPR, while the guy that knocked him out runs around and is happy about it. Oh, his eyes rolled back in his head. Now there's the women. Apparently they have a girls division. So this blonde girl with a mohawk is standing at the podium while this other dumpy girl with a pigtail measures off and is going to slap her as hard as she can. So when she does, she slaps this girl who just fucking drops on her ass as her eyes roll back in her head. But within 5 seconds, she's back on her feet and bent over forward, and then suddenly she does an involuntary forward roll because she doesn't know where the fuck she's at. And then there's two guys standing there, and this other mother, they're holding a rag behind, they hold their arms behind their back, and they're holding a rag so they can't flinch and block it at the last minute. And this stupid fuck gets slapped and fucking dust flies off this guy's face. Apparently, they're allowed to put some kind of fucking powder on their hands for some reason. And so dust flies off the side of this guy's head, and he's down flat on the ground, and he don't know where the fuck he's at. And that's just in 40 seconds. Power slap, only on TBS. The network that wouldn't air a tribute to a man who was killed in a car wreck taking his children to cheerleading practice. Those Twitters are at Dana White and at TBS Network on this slapping thing. Is that a good idea for a show, Brian? Who can survive a stabbing? They like put 3 or 4 red dots on the places you're not allowed to stab, like heart, dick, balls, and asshole. And
those are your 4 spots to pick?
Those are your 4 spots you can't stab.
Okay.
And you got to go below the neck so you don't cut the fucking carotid. And then you stab but you get a free shot. You have to stand there while somebody stabs you. But if you can survive it, you win. From the looks of the people participating in this, you win free parking at the finest downtown lot for the first month.
First of all, it must be cheap programming if TBS is putting it on the air right now. Second of all, I think you're being a little silly about this because we're talking about concussions. I think something more appropriate would be if you took 2 competitors opposite and they just run headfirst at each other over and over until someone falls.
Yeah, or just take a board and just hit the guy and see what you can do.
Beyond the idea that Dana White is attached to this after that video just came out of him slapping his wife a month ago, considering everything we know now about concussions, which is what ties Chris Nowinski into this is rather ignorant to put this on the air on still one of the big cable channels out there.
But also it's insulting to the human race that they can find people stupid enough to participate in this.
There are always people stupid enough to participate in anything.
But you don't have to fucking
especially if they think they'll be on TV.
Network television.
If they think they'll be on TV, they'll definitely do it.
Sure. Well, anyway, folks, if you would like to express any displeasure, again, those Twitters are at Dana White and at TBS Network. So Dana White, turns out this fucking, I knew he was a Trump fuck, but I thought, well, this guy has been the greatest fight promoter of modern times, and this is what he's going to fucking go out on. Slappy White. Oh, and by the way, somebody tweeted me and said, I got the guy. I said, when I announced last week, guess who's the new authority figure in Impact Wrestling? Santino Marella. I said, what's next? Nipsey Russell's going to be the fucking commissioner of the NBA? And somebody tweeted me and said, you misspelled it. He's dead, and his name is Nipsey Hussle. Apparently, there was some rapper named Nipsey Hussle that stole Nipsey Russell's fucking name. And people now don't remember Nipsey Russell and think I mispronounced his name.
2 separate people.
2 completely separate people. And neither one of them related to Slappy White. There's got to be some liability. When somebody drops over backwards and either already has brain damage or because they're unconscious, hits their back of their head and dies or is a permanent vegetable, do they sue TBS? Do they sue Power Slap? Do they sue Dana White himself? Who do you sue in a case like that?
Well, I can't play the music of that because you don't sue Stephen Pinu, but Stephen P. New will sue for you.
That's why I was pitching it to you.
Yeah.
So you could say, well, I don't know who you would sue, but Jim, I bet you know somebody that could sue for you. And then I would say, sue for you? Well, that is who?
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Those are the rest.
Who will sue? You'll think it's voodoo, the way that he will sue you. Or you can get him to sue whoever you need to sue. We're talking about Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. Of course, that wasn't even written down. It would have been good if it was. But nevertheless, and I'll tell you, here's the thing. What you've got right here with the Stephen P. New situation is you've got a legal and moral equivalent of the Power Slap League. Because what Stephen P. New does is he, instead of just the guy standing there and putting his hands behind his back and willingly being slapped, no. Stephen P. New, as your legal representative in a court of law, will go up on an unsuspecting son of a bitch, and that guy will never see it coming, and he will slap him. He will slap him so hard that his kids will be born in the next area code. Because that's what Stephen P. New likes to do. He likes to get you by surprise, and he will slap a lawsuit on whoever has wronged you or harmed you or poisoned you or wrongfully terminated you or discriminated against you or injured you in some type of immoral, illegal, or unethical fashion. And what's more than that, the people that did that will have a lawsuit slapped upon them, whether they stand there and wait for it or not, and they will then be slapped not on the wrist, but right on the honker, right in the nose, by the judge who rules against them and for you as a result of the representation of the aforesaid Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. And he's still going to bring the energy company down there in Louisiana to their knees. They're already shaking. As a matter of fact, the lights are flickering down in Alexandria, Louisiana on a regular basis about once an hour because the people operating that energy company are shaking and quivering at the lawsuits that Stephen P. New has brought on them for endangering the lives of the residents of their state for pure avariciousness and corporate greed.
That's right.
Yeah.